Why don't you come over here so we can be closer?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Walaikum salam. Okay, I have a question for you guys. So I need somebody to answer a question. Start this off. What does iman mean? Iman. What does it mean? Iman. See, look, all the girls want to answer. All the boys, no answer. They had half of the girls had their hands up. What does iman mean? We have one brother. Only one brother? How many girls? Two brothers now? We have four girls. Three. Okay, what does iman mean? Yeah. Faith in Allah. Doing good deeds. The sister in the red. Can you guys come closer over here because we can't hear you? It means what? To have faith in Allah. Anybody else? So we have to have faith in Allah to do good deeds. What does? Yeah. What did you say? Good deeds. Oh, I thought there was. What about you? Good deeds. The belief in Allah. So which one is it? Belief in Allah or good deeds? Both of them. Why? We'll get some help for you. They what? They have the same meaning? Is that the same meaning as belief in Allah and doing good deeds? The same meaning? Who said no? Okay, so explain that to us.
Good deeds. I mean, it's not the same meaning, but good deeds is one of believing Allah is one of good deeds, but it doesn't touch everything.
What's everything?
I mean, like 5 pillars of Islam. There's a lot to it.
Well, explain to us.
Like 5 pillars of Islam, like opening a book, maybe that's a good deed. Making salah. Yes, man.
Oh, so this is nice. So, what's your name? So Muhammad, he's teaching us that iman is not just to believe in Allah, but iman is to believe in Allah. And there's other beliefs like belief in the angels, belief in the books and the prophets, and belief in the last day. What's the last day? Huh? The day of judgment, right? And then there's other deeds that come along with having iman, like smiling, like making things easy for people, like that. Okay, so if good deeds, iman is belief in certain 6 articles of faith. What are the 6 articles of faith? No, belief in Allah.
Believe in angels.
Uh,
Believe in. I think
in the,
and believe in.
belief in the angels.
Yeah, believe in all the books.
Yes. The prophets.
Yeah, the prophets. Day of judgment. believing that there's
And then what else? What's the last one? It's the last one. Qadr. Qadr means that Allah has put a limit on everything, right? That's the easiest way to understand that everything is within Allah's knowledge, right? Everything is within Allah's judgment. So does iman, does it increase and decrease? Sometimes you feel like you have more iman, and sometimes you feel like you have less iman or weak iman. Does anybody ever feel like they have weak iman? You do? Okay, explain that.
Basically, like there's times that come through life where you're not close to your religion. You start losing your iman.
How so?
You start bad influence of drugs, hanging out with the wrong people and all that. That like your relationship with Islam starts like falling apart.
Okay, who said that iman was deeds? Those people who said iman was deeds, raise your hand. There was some of the girls said that too, right? Iman is deeds. No? I think one said that. All the boys said only that iman is deeds. So if you do good deeds, what does that do for your iman? What happens in Ramadan? What happens in Ramadan? In Ramadan you fast. Is that a good deed? Okay, so what happens? What's the effect of it? Huh? No, not that, not getting hasanat. That's what you get from it. But the effects, you get closer to Allah. But how do you feel? That's what I'm looking for. You feel like a Muslim.
You feel like the poor people? What you feel how they feel every day?
Anybody else? Yeah, you.
You feel more religious?
What does that mean?
Like you start praying on time and you start giving zakat and like you help your mom and like do good deeds. You help the orphans, the homeless people, and the poor.
Okay.
I went to Islamic school and we compared Iman to a thermometer. When you put it in a warm room, it goes up. And when you put it in a cold room, it goes down. So it's like in Ramadan, we fast. And fasting is a pillar of Islam. So most people feel like, oh, we're fasting, we're closer to Allah. Most people feel closer to Allah in Ramadan than in their regular lives.
Right.
And on top of that, most people also depend on Ramadan to try to get their best, to keep some good actions, to carry on with them after Ramadan too. So Ramadan, a lot of people see it as an increaser of Iman, or like a warm room for the thermometer, I guess. And yeah, basically.
Okay, if you have somebody that does exercise every day, they have a routine. They wake up, they pray, they do their stretches, they do push-ups, they do their jumping jacks, and then you have somebody that every day they get up, they do their salah, they eat their breakfast, they go to work. What do you think is going to be the difference between them as far as strength is concerned? One's going to be more fit than the other. Who had their hand up over here? Somebody had, yeah. What did you want to say?
That was for the before question.
Go ahead.
So basically, like she said, like you kind of feel like the poor people, but basically you know that at the end you're gonna eat, but poor people don't. They don't know if they're gonna eat at the end of the day.
That's for you're talking about in the fast of Ramadan.
I also want to add to the point that you just said, someone that wakes up, does jumping jacks, eats breakfast, and then go to work, and then someone who prays, eat breakfast, and go to work. So one is going to be more fit than the other, but when you wake up in time for Fajr and you pray, you feel like a happiness because you know that you did it. Because waking up for Fajr, whoever said it's easy, like unless they're like used to it, like that's like mashallah, like on them. But it's hard because you'll be sleeping and sometimes you'll miss the alarm and you'll feel like so sad, like, oh, I had an alarm set up and I didn't wake up today, but I hopefully can wake up tomorrow. So mentally they'll feel stronger. They'll know that they prayed their salah on time and that they can, if they prayed Fajr, which is a lot of people see it as like one of the hardest prayers besides Asr,
Right.
because of like the busyness of the day and stuff, then it'll encourage them to be able to pray Dhuhr and then Asr. And if they miss Salah, they'll know at least I got up and I was able to pray Fajr before. And so it's also like an increaser of
Right.
faith.
And that's the point that I wanted to get. In order to be strong Muslims, is it just to say that we believe in that shit? Or that you have to take, just like for instance, when you're doing exercise, you have to get into that routine. You have to get into that program where you're what? You're doing things to make your iman fit. So those good deeds, right? Part of some good deeds we should be doing, like for instance, salah, like for instance, fasting, right? For instance, helping the poor and so on and so forth. For zakat, that's an obligation. But then there's other good deeds that we do that are extra. Like for instance, smiling. Like for instance, if we see an old person, we help them out with the intention, right, to do it because it's good to please Allah. In order for us to feel Islam, right, there's a part of it to feel it, and for us to be strong Muslims, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to do good deeds. We have to make an effort, right? There's an important, what's your name? Tibian? Tibian said something that's very, very important. She said, when I get up and I make Fajr on time, it makes me feel happy. That's a good place to be in. Some people may not be in that place. They may get up and they may not feel that Fajr made them happy. Why may that happen? We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Some people think like Salah in general is an obligation and just an obligation, like, oh, they look at the clock, oh, it's time to Sali. They go pray, khushu' is weak, iman is a little low. And so praying on time, they'll be like, oh, I woke up for Fajr today. Oh, well, good for me. But so other people, they struggle to wake up for Fajr. And when they do, it's like accomplishing a goal. Like some people, if you can compare it to school, like you have a really hard time in like, let's say math, and then you're struggling, but you're studying very hard and you're trying to do well on the test. And then the test comes and you pass the test. You'll feel so happy because you were struggling and you can do it. And throughout the year, you don't have one test or one quiz, you have more than one. So oh, if I did it once, I hopefully will be able to do it again. And it's just like an encouragement, and it hires your level of encouragement. And if I were to compare that back to our point, then it hires your level of iman.
Right. Yeah, that's important, guys. Remember that you may wear your pants and your shirt, but you have to remember there's people in back of you, and they shouldn't see your butt. Now, we're not saying you, we're saying general, right? Do you ever have friends that you don't see for a long time and then you're happy to see them and you start talking to them? You ever have friends that or people that they're not your friends but kind of your friends? What's the difference between the two? You're closer. Why? Explain it to me. I know what you mean, but you have to teach us what does it mean. Okay. Because like a strong what? Relationship? What does that? That's big words. I don't know what that means. Stronger relationship. You build one, huh? Okay, there's what about the girls?
So like another word for a relationship is like connection, and it's like you're stronger to that person. You're stronger, like you have a better connection with that person because like you haven't seen them for a long time, and you've been like remembering them constantly in your head, and then you saw them, and then like you started talking to them right away about like updating them about what happened or anything.
Okay. Does anybody know where I'm getting at with this? Where? What? Where am I going? Huh? Yeah, no. The meaning of Iman. How is it connected? Right. Right. So we said that Iman, it gets strong when we do stuff, right? When we do more and more good deeds, right? The same thing. What about our relationship with Allah? If we talk about having friends, right? This set of friends or this friend we're closer to than this friend. Why are we closer to this friend than this friend? Why? Could you have a better relationship? Somebody said connection, right? You have a connection, you have a better relationship, right? The same thing with Allah. It's just a different type of relationship, right? But if we're not speaking to Allah, right? What's one way that we speak to Allah? Pray, dua, right? Salah, dua. Yeah, we go to the Quran. Even the Quran is a little more complicated, but when you're in sujood, is one of those time periods where we're taught that this is the closest one of. Why is it that what's the meaning of that? That is a point that we're close to Allah. What's the meaning of it? Right. You're making yourself vulnerable before Allah. Or you're humbling yourself before Allah. But that connection, remember what now Tibian was saying, I make salah. If I make it on time, I feel happy. If I don't make it on time, I feel sad. That making it on time and feeling happy, is that showing that there's some sort of connection with Allah? Yes or no? That feeling sad, if you don't see your friend for a while, will you feel sad or you feel happy? Okay. How many of us deal with Allah as a friend? Just be honest. Well, listen. You raise your hand. How many of you pray to Allah as a friend? Like you have a relationship with Allah. Explain to me how that works. I don't know anything about this. You're teaching me how to have a relationship with Allah. How would you teach me to have a relationship with Allah? No, okay, we know praying, but how? To read it. The Quran is teaching us, yes, right? That's part of having a relationship with Allah, right? In what way? That Allah is speaking to us through the Quran. But what about us speaking to Allah?
We were using it as a comparison. So like basically when the example that you used, you miss. So I think of it in a way, whereas when I pray, obviously it's an obligation, but at the same time, it's something that I want to do because I know that I'm closer to Allah. And even like throughout the day, you're just like the thermometer example. The temperature is not like 72 degrees the whole day. It's like it goes up and it goes down. And
Right.
so throughout the day, your iman also goes up and down. Even if it's like in the same range, it still goes up and it still goes down. And like, for example, I go to a school, like, I go to school and I come back at 4 o'clock. In like the summertime and stuff, I don't miss because I come home and I pray. But like in a few weeks, I'm gonna come home and it's gonna be Maghrib. So I'm gonna have to pray Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib, and I'm gonna miss it. And it makes me feel like, bad because like I can't pray in school because it's not like allowed. And most public schools do have, but the school I go to, they don't do that. And I was used to going to Islamic school. So when I was in Islamic school, I used to pray all my salahs. But it's like different now. And now when I do pray, because sometimes the bus is longer than other days. So when I do pray, I'm like, oh, alhamdulillah, like Allah allowed me, like He blessed me to be able to pray Dhuhr on time before Asr adhans. And other days, because Dhuhr, Asr adhans at like 4 o'clock, 4:08, 4:10, I'll be late and I'll have to pray them together. And yeah, I know it's not in my hands, but even though technically it does count as on time because I wasn't able to pray it, I'd still feel a little sadder. And so it's the same thing with like, the example you were giving with your friend. It's like in COVID, we didn't see any of our friends. And like if there wasn't social media, you wouldn't see them at all, no technology and everything. So if you had some friends in quarantine that, you didn't talk to them, you didn't think about them a lot. But then you also had those friends that you had that relationship with, which is the same exact thing. Some people, I know a lot of Muslims in my school, they're not really religious. And when I wanted to go to the principal to ask for like a room for us to pray in, I didn't have enough people to be able to go ask for the room. And so they probably come home, they'll play all their salahs at night. And like, inshallah, Allah strengthens their iman, but that's an example of a weak relationship with your friend, or the example you were giving. And the strong relationship with your friend, you're going to remember them. You're going to be like, oh, I miss this and that, and I really want to see them. It's the same exact thing. Oh, I miss a lot. I'm going to go pray. Even if you already prayed, you can pray sunnah. You can make dua.
You're mentioning something that's important, and that's didn't forget about you. You mentioned something that's important. Working together to help each other in our relationship with Allah and with each other. And when we don't do that, then you get that type of result. Like for instance, you could have a space in school where you can pray, right? That means that we don't have an understanding of how to work together as Muslims so that we can, live out our lifestyle as Muslims. And our lifestyle as Muslims is to have a connection with Allah, right? And so you also pointed out another point, that our iman is affected by also what we do or don't do negatively. It can be both ways. Either positively, our iman is affected and we keep growing it and we feel stronger in it, or we may do something or not do something. For instance, we may leave our salah, or we may do a sin, we may be in a certain type of crowd, and all of those things, it affects us, right? And if it affects our iman, it's also going to affect what? You mentioned it earlier, the way that we feel, right? The way that we feel. But what were you going to say? Well, give me an example. If you're teaching me how to make my relationship with Allah strong, give me an example. No, but I give me like a day. Like we go throughout the day. I go throughout the day. Somebody stole my iPad. Feel sad. I crossed the street. I saw this dog get hit by a car. Feel sad again. How do I deal with my sadness? Think of Allah. What else? Okay, we're going to come back. to do a good deed, okay, but I want it to be more like in my conversation with Allah, right? Not just something that I'm doing as a good deed, but also we're talking about how do I approach Allah? Okay, how would that dua look? So you ask Allah for happiness.
So to answer the question, also to add on to what's been said so far, like to strengthen your connection with Allah is to always talk to Allah.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to
So-
know, how can I do that?
You basically if you're feeling sad, obviously you're gonna go to Allah, but that's not the only time that you would go to Allah and speak to Him and tell Him of your struggles. Whenever you're happy, also you would go to Allah by prayer, du'a, dhikr, always being thankful. But at the same, it's like similar to how you would tell a friend everything throughout your day. If something happens, like you would pick up the phone, like text your friend,
Right.
this happened, or like whether it's complaining, whether it's something good happens in your life, you'd always like tell your friend. Same thing with like with Allah, like connecting with Allah, strengthening that connection.
On a week, say for instance, if we had to do, you know how like on your phone it says, on your phone it measures screen time. You were doing this, you were doing that, right? And then you get like this report. You spend this amount of hours on social media. You did this, you did that. I don't know if your phone has that, right? If you were to take, like, if we were to look at our week, how many times are we talking to Allah like that? Where we're pouring, how much? Let's be honest. How many people think they do that like 3 times a week? 1 time a week? 5 times a week?
Should be every single day.
Huh?
It should be every single day.
No, but if we're going to look at ourselves, right, in a week, how many times are we in that program where we're like literally really talking to it? We have that connection. We're making that real connection, not the connection where it's just like, hey, how you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Fly by connection. But we really have a real good connection. How many times in the week do we have that? Who had their hand up over here?
Go ahead.
5 times a week, you feel that you do that 5 times a week at that level? Be honest, ladies. How many of you at the 5 day a week level, or 3 day a week, 4 day a week? And what happens when there's only like 4 days a week, or 2 days a week, or 1 day a week?
You might not feel it at the moment, like, oh, because a lot of people like astaghfirullah, like it's not a priority. So you might like if like the ayah or a hadith, it says like if you remember me, I'll remember you, and if you thank me, I'll I forgot the rest of the ayah, but it's the same thing. So like let's say you do it about an average of 5 times a week, because I don't think 7 times a week is an honest answer, because if it were like once every day, then that's like 365 times a year, same amount of days. So there are obviously days that you're off, and so at the moment you might not feel it, but in the end, like at the end of the week, when you look back, you'll be like, oh, I missed it, I'll try to work better next week. And it's like
that's the point that I want to get at, right? So when we look at our day, we're looking at what we did for the day. Then we look at what's going on for the week, right? It's the same thing when we start talking about like when we're in some sort of exercise program, right? If we find that our month, that our week is weak, where do you think we're going to be at? If we look at our lives and we see, okay, in 1 week I made a strong connection with Allah, maybe 3 days in the week. I made a strong connection with Allah 3 days in a week, or 5 days in a week, right? Or say, for instance, like somebody was telling me recently that they were having problems in their lives. And a person was telling me he had problems in his life. So I asked him, I said, how many times are you missing salah? And he said, honestly, today I only got 3 salah. Yesterday I only got 1 salah. Right? And then he says, you know, sometimes there's days where I miss salah completely. So when you look at the week, what do you think that week would look like? Okay, so for that week, okay, so for instance, now 2 weeks, how do you think that looks like? In a month. You start forgetting about Allah. So if you start forgetting about Allah and you're in an environment where you're being pressured to do different things, where do you think that takes you? How strong do you think you will be to be able to make a good decision? Huh? Why?
Because your iman with Allah is not strong, and if your iman with Allah is not strong, it won't be as strong when you're in an environment with bad and good choices.
So iman increases with what? With deeds. Iman, it decreases with what? Bad deeds or not doing your deeds. I want to ask you this one question because we have to go. Is it enough to just do good deeds to have a relationship? Why? No, I'm just talking only about our relationship with Allah now. Is doing good deeds enough? Like, for instance, give zakat, salah, read Quran. Okay, that's a higher level. From what we talked about here, having that connection with Allah, what should we be doing? We talked about if we look at our day, if we look at our week, if we look at 2 weeks, if we look at a month, we should be talking to Allah, right? It's not just why? Because sometimes what happens with salah sometimes, if you don't know the meaning of the Quran, what's going to happen? Is the salah going to have a big impact? Right? But if you pray to Allah, you talk to Allah, what's the difference now? Can you talk in a language to Allah that you understand?
I heard someone in the guys section say when you were asking, if you keep missing salah once a week and then it turns into 2 weeks and then it turns into a month, and he kept saying, oh, you're still not closer to Allah. I think a better wording to that is you're getting farther from Allah, because when you say you're still not closer to Allah, that means you're trying to get closer to Allah, but you're not there yet. And when
did you hear what what's your name? Khalil said, did you hear what he said? You forget Allah.
Yeah.
You begin to forget Allah as well, right? Yes, you become further from Allah, but also you're forgetting Allah, right? So we just want to leave with that simple point, that our iman, it increases with what we do, and our iman decreases with what we're not doing, like leaving out salah, or for instance, we may do sins, but also it's not enough just to pray salah. It's not enough to just read the Quran and not understand it. We also have to talk to Allah, right? We have to feel that what? We have that what? That relationship. That's a higher level, right? Where we feel that we love Allah. The connection. So does anybody have anything to say before we leave? Don't forget about Allah. That's the theme for the night. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم.
Jazakallahu khair, Sheikh. So what do you remember? Go ahead. Never forget about Allah. Muhammad? Have strong iman. Khalil? Strong relationship, never forget about Allah. Ahmed? Do good deeds? MashaAllah. Uthman? You need Allah, Allah doesn't need you. Ahmed? Sorry. Maher? Make dua. Umayya?
To always like never forget about Allah, and like once you realize like you're getting farther away from Allah, to like always try to be like remembering Allah more and like doing good deeds more, praying on time more, and like doing all those obligatory
Yeah, if you go away,
things.
it's like the GPS. If you leave the way, the GPS remind you another way to come back. So you need to go back. Tibian?
I want to add on to what Umayya was saying. And a lot of people feel like it's an obligation on them or like it's like a burden on them. And I think like, you know, when you want to teach like a child to walk or talk, you do little stuff and they call it baby steps. I think if you want to increase your deen or iman, I think starting off with trying to get at least, for someone who didn't pray at all, trying to get Fajr when they first wake up, okay? Because that's like very hard. And then praying Dhuhr and Asr, trying to pray them or trying at least 3 prayers and opening the Quran. A lot of people don't understand Arabic or the Quran in general. They may speak it, but they don't understand it. They can get, like now we have like the Quran.com website. It has like the translation of the ayah and stuff, and they have even a link to read the page in Arabic, and to the side it has the whole meaning of the page in English. And I think, like I said, baby steps is the easiest way to like start, because Allah always judges by intention, because Allah knows if you're actually trying and not. Allah knows everything. And so if you're actually trying, you'll even be getting hasanat for that. But obviously we don't realize that, but I think it's like a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah.
I want you guys to do something. I want you guys to do this exercise. You guys are going to come back next week, right? You guys and girls. So I want you to, Yes, inshallah. So I want you to look at your week. How does your week go? Right? And then when you come back, I want you guys to talk about what your experience is. You get the idea? Yes. Okay.
Yes. Good deeds to please Allah. Have a reason to earn in Jannah, mashallah. Go ahead. Better connection, inshallah. Diana, you want to add something or it's fine? Can you take the mic?
If you find yourself, getting further away from Allah, to always, like Tibian said, always take baby steps, and to always like renew your intention. That's the first thing. You should always have an intention of pleasing Allah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Intention is a way to get closer from Allah, inshallah.
Yeah, like Tibian says, Allah always rewards based on your intention. So if you have a good intention, even if you don't end up, succeeding in coming closer to Allah, you still had that intention, and that will, that alone is a huge step.
Okay. Jazakallahu khair. Jazakallahu khair, Sheikh. Ma'assalam.